about we talk a little more about colonialism? The first Elizabethan era ended when Queen Elizabeth I died in 1603. Her 45-year reign was, quote, a golden age, though I guess that kind of depends on your perspective, which marked England's emergence as an ambitious and ruthless global power. Elizabeth I heavily encouraged privateering, granting charters or trading and exploration rights to private companies, which paved the way for an intercontinental empire. It was she who gave Walter Raleigh permission to set up a small colony on Roanoke Island, Britain's first foray into the colonization of America. Now, centuries later, the second Elizabethan era has just ended with the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The two reigns invite easy comparison, and they are tethered by their unique positions in the timeline of British colonialism, the beginning and the beginning of the end. In the 1920s, the British Empire was at its zenith, ruling and controlling the natural resources and economic output of around a quarter of the world's entire population, about 413 million people at the time. All of these countries in red were controlled by the British Empire. You can see Canada, Australia, India, Ireland, much of Africa, just to name a few of the countries. To quote an often used phrase throughout the 18th and 20th centuries, the sun never sets on the British Empire. It literally
anyways, that's enough of that shit. Welcome back, you guys. I wanted to get into this topic. I didn't get into this topic during the weekend when it happened. I think Queen Elizabeth died on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday of this past week. And it's a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of people have a lot of different feelings on it. And I just wanted to uncover why. Why do so many people have so many different reactions on the Queen of England and the British monarchy? And you know, in my search for answers and stuff like that, I thought I would share the things that I found out with you guys. I thought that video was interesting. I said, for one, they're covering it on a news channel, people's different reactions to it. Of course, it's news and we're in the West. So, you know, even if the news is controversial, it still sells and people still are going to tune in to watch it regardless. So, you know, first we need to get into what colonialism is. I got a video on that. I'm going to be right back. I just want y'all to watch a little piece of that shit.
What is colonialism? Colonialism is defined as control by one power over a dependent area or people. It occurs when one nation subjugates another, conquering its population and exploiting it, often while forcing its own language and cultural values upon its people. Also, such control is often done by establishing colonies, and generally with the aim of economic dominance. In antiquity, colonialism was practiced by empires such as ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, and Phoenicia. These civilizations all extended their borders into surrounding and non-contiguous areas from about 1550 BC onward, and established colonies that drew on the physical and population resources of the people they conquered in order to increase their own power. Modern colonialism is strongly associated with the European colonial period starting with the 15th century, when some European states established colonizing empires. Some scholars refer to this point in history as the beginning of the Age of Capital, or the Capitalocene, which is an epoch that encompasses the profit-driven era that has led to climate change and global land change. At first, European colonizing countries followed policies of mercantilism, aiming to strengthen the home country economy, so agreements usually restricted the colony to trading only with the metropole, or the mother country. By the mid-19th century, however, the British Empire gave up mercantilism and trade restrictions and adopted the principle of free trade, with few restrictions or tariffs. It is interesting to note that Christian missionaries were active in practically all of the European-controlled colonies because the metropoles were Christian. Historian Philip Hoffman calculated that by 1800, before the Industrial Revolution, Europeans already controlled at least 35% of the globe, and by 1914, they had gained control of 84% of the globe.
That's some shit, isn't it? Boy, I just want to say that nobody did colonizing better than Europe or England, the British Empire. Nobody colonized better than them in the history of existence. They colonized 90% of the countries all over the world. I think that was a graphic about that. They had, and that's where that term the guy was saying earlier, that the sun doesn't set on the British Empire, because anywhere you go in the British Empire, whether it be a Commonwealth colony or whether it be the British Empire itself, there is sun somewhere on a territory that they own. You know, how do people feel about that? Like, why do people feel some type of way about that? I mean, of course, you have the descendants of the people that were directly affected from colonialism and still feel the impact still to this day. Without getting too political, let's just say that, you know, countries like Africa and Kenya, you know, the British Empire still has some of their ancient artifacts and diamonds and precious golds and jewels, and they still own a significant amount of territory in the countries like Africa. You know, I'm just gonna go to Twitter for y'all to see like the disdain and mixed reactions that people had from, like, mostly from the Black community. I seen Black Twitter was just like letting her have it the day after she died, and I think that this shit was funny. It was like a bunch of funny little memes and stuff like that they was making about Princess Diana, about the Queen, and, you know, I just thought it was hilarious. And I say Black people don't take shit serious. So I just want y'all to check out some of this shit. Everyone's sad about the Queen. Me thinking it's time to finish what the founding fathers started. Support this Queen, not that one. Let me see. When Queen Elizabeth pulls up to the pearly gates. Oh, this was the funniest one. Talk about the Queen of Pack.
Into concentration camps and fortified villages. Almost the World War, there was an uprising by the Kikuyu people who wanted their land back. The Kikuyu were herded into concentration camps and fortified villages, almost the entire population of over 1 million people. People were systematically tortured to death. They invented a new kind of pliers whose purpose was first to crush men's testicles and then to cut them off. They raped women with bayonets. They raped men.
Ain't that some shit? It kicked us out of that damn video. Oh, I'm gonna go back and finish that motherfucker. You got like fucked up. I want to see what old boy was saying.
Uprising by the Kikuyu people who wanted. It was a colonial process, documenting it led to death. Some of the British soldiers boasted about this. This is within living memory. The colonial secretary lied about it. The papers documenting it were burnt. The impact of the rich and powerful nations has been so phenomenally murderous and destructive that it has been completely airbrushed from our national consciousness. In order to justify the land-grabbing colonial projects, you had to create an ideology. We, the Europeans or the Americans, have come to rescue the rest of the world from its depravity and backwardness. But in order to do that, you have to be able to demonstrate that the rest of the world is depraved and backward. From this arose the racism that is still with us today. It was a necessary component of the colonial project. Some people might claim, well, okay, we broke a few eggs to make this omelette. It's as if all those human beings were eggs. But look at the omelette. Isn't it fantastic? Look, we made this fantastic omelette. Forget.
And this shit's showing up blurry and shit. Let me go find this damn video. What this dude's talking about. All right, here we go. Yeah, that video on Twitter doesn't do this shit justice. Hold on. I found a video for you guys. Because that was interesting. The dark side of British history. Let's see what the hell he said.
Present the colonial project as being about teaching the natives table manners and double entry bookkeeping. In India, the British manufactured a famine in the 1870s out of nothing. There were food surpluses, massive amounts of food. But the governor, Lord Lytton, insisted that this food be exported wholesale to Britain. The ensuing starvation killed at least 12 million people, possibly as much as 29 million people. All relief works were banned except for hard labour in labour camps, where the inmates received the same rations as the inmates of Buchenwald, and where there was a 94% death rate per year. This was all done in the name of liberal free market capitalism. Of course, the British did something similar in Ireland. In Kenya, soon after the Second World War, there was an uprising by the Kikuyu people who wanted their land back. The Kikuyu were herded into concentration camps and fortified villages, almost the entire population of over 1 million people. People were systematically tortured to death. They invented a new kind of pliers whose purpose was first to crush men's testicles and then to cut them off. They raped women.
Yeah, I know they was doing all of that shit during slavery times, but boy, these motherfuckers were some ruthless savages. But the British, you know, this is the shit that they don't teach you in school, and this is what you ain't gonna hear on the news for the most part when it comes to talking about the British Empire. Everybody wants to think that to the victor go all the spoils, and we're living in this modern day world, so you kind of have it good. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? This is you know, we're enjoying the spoils of war. We're in the modern world. You know, my thing is, you know, if you understand history, you understand how we got to this point. You know, you ain't it. I'm not saying that you worry about it or you stress over it. It's just the thing about understanding it, bro. Because it's my experience in this life is you pay for what you don't know, you know. And then a lot of the times when you're having conversations with somebody, you know, let's say for instance, may be from Britain or they may be from a different country, because of course in America we have people from all different walks of life. You know, a lot of times they'll try and be like, you know, they'll try and generalize everybody's pain. Like, oh yeah, everybody was slaves. Yeah, everybody went through some type of invasion. Everybody went through this, that, and the third. You know, it's that cold all lives matter approach to a direct issue with a certain part of history. And then, you know, in the same breath, we'll try to claim that we're so sophisticated and civilized. How can you be sophisticated and civilized if you don't even hold your morals in a higher regard? I don't know. I don't get people like that. You know, I'm just talking on my little soapbox about this shit. Like, it's just a lot of conversation I have with a lot of different people where this type of stuff rear its ugly head, and it's like they try to brush over it in history, especially when you get on the reparations conversation with Black Americans and white Americans over here in America. You get on that conversation, man, and you get to talking about slavery, even though that America had the worst form of it, according to history. You know, where the people weren't considered human, and even though it's still like, if you say that there are effects from slavery, Jim Crow, and segregation doesn't affect Black people today. You know, you living underneath a rock, number one, or I'm going to be nice with that statement, or you just flat out racist. You know what I mean? Like, how can you understand history and see history and not look at the people today and understand the timeline of how they got to where they are today and why the reasons why people act the way that they do today. So, you know, I don't want to get too deep into this shit because this shit kind of, you know, disturbing. You feel me? But I definitely wanted to cover, and I wanted to present to you a different side of what the hell people was talking about. Like, you know, I'm gonna go over the positive reactions from a lot of people in Britain after her passing, or once she was alive even. But I just wanted to get that perspective in there first, you know, so you can see like the truth about this shit. You know what I mean? Let's first talk about why Britain has a royal family. There's a video on that I found.
They're
God
one of the
damn.
most famous, wealthy, and controversial families in the world. And in a time of growing inequality, some people are asking, why does Britain still have a royal family? The country's had some form of monarchy for centuries. In the years after the English Civil War, which saw the execution of Charles I in 1649, it developed into the constitutional monarchy we have today. Basically, the king or queen act as the head of state. This is not a political role, and they don't have any power to pass laws. Yes, the sovereign opens parliament every year.
My lords, pray be seated.
And technically, every bill that goes through parliament needs royal assent.
Close the door.
But this is more of a formality. Instead, they have more of a symbolic role. The sovereign's main duties are making visits around the world, hosting foreign heads of state,
Great woman. Great woman.
and, of course, lots of waving. And the rest of the royal family are there to support the king or queen. Younger members are expected to do their fair share of royal engagements and work with charities, and at all times expected to be a model family. This doesn't always go to plan. See Prince Harry's fancy dress, Prince Philip's car crashes, and the less said about Prince Andrew, the better. But overall, the royals are essentially morale boosters, there to represent Britain's connection to our history and all that tradition that people seem to love. So, why do we still have them? Well, to start with, they remain extremely popular.
Feels like an extension of my own family.
She's had a tremendous life. She's been a wonderful queen to us all.
According to YouGov, the Queen has a 72% approval rating. In 2019, she was also voted the fourth most admired woman in the world. 18 million of us tuned in to watch Prince Harry and Meghan tie the knot in 2018.
He just makes me smile. Just love it.
Fuck out of here. I see how y'all treat that girl. Knock it the fuck off. I seen how y'all treat that girl. We can stop the cap. Even at her passing, you know, they was treating Meghan Markle like shit, a lot of the British people. Because, of course, you know, we like to think that racism is American as apple pie, but the truth is racism is worldwide now. Worse, racism has probably always been worldwide or international. Who the hell commented? Oh, shit. I thought this nigga was asleep or at work. Why would we take the evil witch seriously? This is one topic where I will not put a muzzle on Ellie when it comes to this. You voicing, I think that you grew up in the British territory, or the Virgin Island, the British Virgin Islands. I think he grew up in. So, yeah, he can speak from firsthand experience about you know, probably the British Empire and, you know, the effects of their rule in that territory. But, you know, it was a video that I was watching too that talked about how how England invaded 90% of the world, but technically they wasn't interested in all the territories and shit like that they invaded. And of course, if you're talking about England or the British monarchy or the British Empire as a whole, it's unfair or it's incorrect. Now, I mean, let me not say unfair. It's incorrect to pretend like the Queen of England was the one who oversaw all of the invasions of all these other territories and commonwealths and shit like that. Like, that's just not true. Truth is that she ascended in like the 1950s to be the Queen of England and shit, and it was already kind of set in stone, kind of their empire. It was already at its apex when she took over. So, you know, of course, at certain points in time, like, you know, I'm guessing she realizing that she was coming into the modern world. So, oh yeah, he said USVI. He's from the USVI. But anyways, of course, he realized, but nigga, you say you got family, or you was like, what's the difference between U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin? Ain't they right next to each other, my guy? Like, bro, you walk across the street and you in the British Virgin Islands, man. So stop the cap. You might have grew up in U.S., but you always talk about you go to the British Virgin Islands and all this and the third. So I'm inclined to believe that you capping, sir. Hold on. You made me want to look this shit up on the map now. Yeah, it's damn near right next to each other, man. Fuck out of here. All right. Anyways, like I was saying, man, lost what the hell I was saying. This motherfucker's distracting. Let me pull up this video so y'all can see. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, they invaded 90% of the world. And with them invading 90% of the world, they wasn't interested in all of the territories. They wasn't interested in all of the places that they were invading, if you will, because they were sending private merchants to basically do the business. They would give them some protection. They would give them some money to fund their trips and shit like that. Like Christopher Columbus, perfect example. When he was going and sailing around the world and conquering different lands and spreading disease and murdering, raping, and pillaging the islands with the Tainos and shit like that, he was basically going to the different kings and queens of Spain and France and England and wherever, and he was trying to get funding from whoever would give him money. Whoever would give him money to be able to take those trips to conquer new lands for those countries, then he was just doing it. You feel me? And then also these lands would invade territories with their navy or their troops as well in order to continue their expansion or their conquest. But like I say, a lot of British territories that they have today, you know, due to that free trade system that they started implementing at a certain point in time where they, you know, they had the private merchants and the mercenaries conquering other lands. You know, they wasn't interested in a lot of them, but they just kept them, which helped expand their empire. So, yeah, just wanted to say that. I also wanted to get into some of these celebrity reactions.
Wanted her to see.
This is Professor Charles Xavier, but his name is Patrick Stewart, of course. He was talking.
The century. Having been England's longest-serving monarch, I felt that would have been appropriate. 100 years on the planet.
Side of me says that I'm safe with you.
Admiral,
CBS2 is owned by Paramount. Now, meantime, we're also hearing from singer Elton John. The Queen knighted Sir Elton John in 1998. Last night, he wrote on Twitter, quote, "Queen Elizabeth has been a huge part of my life from childhood to this day, and I will miss her dearly." And Helen Mirren, who won an Oscar playing Queen Elizabeth, posted on Instagram this photo of the Queen with the caption, "I am proud to be an Elizabethan. We mourn a woman who, with or without the crown, was the epitome of notability." That's the very latest from the newsroom here. I'm Elijah Westbrook. Chris and Mary, let's go ahead and send it.
And not a lot of reactions on there. Well, let me see. Not a lot of. That was it? Let's see this one.
Praise for Queen Elizabeth pouring in from across the globe following her reign. The tributes coming from celebrities, athletes, leaders of the British Commonwealth nations.
Flags flying at half-staff in places such as the Bahamas, where Queen Elizabeth visited at least 5 times during her reign, most recently in 1994. Listen to how one woman there will remember the Queen.
She's everybody's mother. She's one of the most outstanding persons.
Hold on, did they say the Bahamas?
There will remember the Queen.
Oh, shit. Happy Bahamas National Day. Here's the Queen of the Bahamas visiting NASA. Oh, you know what? I wanted to say this too, bro. Man, Tariq Nasheed been letting a lot of niggas have it on Twitter and YouTube and all over the place. You feel me? You know, Tariq Nasheed with his foundational Black Americans approach to this shit. And it's mostly been jokes. It's been a lot of jokes in me, bro. I just find all of this shit funny because he was talking about how, you know, Jamaica had 12 days of mourning for the Queen of England because, of course, the Queen of England is something to them. It's the same thing with the Bahamas because that's a territory of Britain. The Queen means so much to these islands and these island people that are from there. And they're basically kind of feeling saddened by her passing. And niggas in America, I ain't gonna lie to you, we don't give a fuck. You feel me? We just we crack jokes at everything. We ain't taking nothing serious. That's why you got Black Twitter going insane. I mean, of course, you got Irish Twitter. It was even a professor, an African professor that's made, you know, racist or coon-like comments. It was an African professor made racist or coon-like comments about Black people. And I remember she had a criticism about the Queen of England after she passed. I'm gonna try and pull that up. And Jeff Bezos spoke on that shit. As a matter of fact, I see the video right there. That's a long ass video. I'm trying to skip into it.
She's everybody's mother. She's one of the most outstanding persons
of Britain's colonial history, some of which still lives on today in the Commonwealth, of which there is real opposition to and upset. Larry Madowo was discussing that earlier. You're from a Nigerian family, grew up in the UK. Mm-hmm. Help explain that contradiction. I wonder how you personally view that.
I would say that the relationship that a lot of Black people who are British by birth and who have African ancestry, the relationship that a lot of us have with the royal family is certainly a complicated one. On the one hand, growing up in the UK, you are taught that the royals are the pinnacle of British high society. You are taught respect and reverence for everything that the crown and the scepter stands for. And also, by the way, for...
That's that programming, bro. You know, that Star Spangled programming. Nobody does it better than the global superpowers all over the world. You know, they indoctrinate you from the moment you're born in America to believe that this is the greatest country on earth, and there will be no other place that you would be that is better. And statistically speaking, in almost every metric, we're not there. Okay, the only metric, which is the only one that matters in terms of conquest, is that we have the most powerfulest military on the face of the earth. That's the reality of the fact. America's basically been the bully for the greater part of a century. And, you know, you don't hear no complaints from me over here, motherfucker. I'm glad we are bully, and I'm glad I live in a country that's a bully. But at the same time, morally speaking, it's wrong. Morally speaking, you know, to invade other lands and pillage and rape and murder and take oil and claim that it was weapons of mass destruction is wrong, of course. But it doesn't stop people from, or it doesn't stop these great superpowers, well, not great, but these large superpower nations from doing what they do anyways. You feel me? I think that the mindset that kind of condemns the Queen of England and condemn America, you know, for conquering and, you know, doing all this shit that they do is one of, you know, why can't we all just get along? And it's not just looking at the reality of the fact that, you know, man's nature, human beings' nature is to create and destroy and conquer. Human beings is, we acknowledge the fact that on a material level, on a physical level, that we savage, like, to a degree. You feel me? You know, you hear people coin those terms, and it's almost seen as a term of endearment now to be called a savage. But in a realistic sense, you know, human beings are savage. Human beings are, you know, like, one thing that we understand is violence and death. So, you know, in order to conquer or control an area, you have to be able to do that better than the people that you're conquering. You know, it's fucked up, but that's the reality of the fact. And, you know, all of these peoples that are, or all of these populations of, not population, what's the word I'm looking for? All these different people that you affect in the process of taking over or controlling their land, even their generations of their children and great-great-grandchildren that you affect from doing whatever you do as a superpower nation. And, you know, it's just almost like that mindset that, you know, you kind of have it good now, you know. And I go back to that famous quote from Eric Arthur Blair or George Orwell: "He who controls the past controls the present. He who controls the present controls the future." You know, that's in that book 1984. I think that a lot of people reference that. If you want to understand, like, just that quote alone, you know, you can dig deeper into it if you want to, but it gives you a better understanding that the people that are in power today, you know, they were the ones murdering and slaughtering back in the past. And, you know, they kind of will whitewash history and remix it to be whatever they want it to be. And it's up to you to do your history, to do your research, to find out what is the truth. And if you even care about the truth, because, you know, if it's something that interests you, you'd look it up. If it's not something that interests you, you could remain ignorant to it. But when people have these types of conversations, you know, you just won't know. You just will be in the dark on those type of things. That's my mindset, you know. Knowledge is power, but at the end of the day, not everybody wants that type of knowledge. Wisdom is freedom, you know, because the wisdom to know when to use certain knowledge and when to not use certain knowledge is, you know, is key. But anyways, let me just read this comment. I know Ellie Ben didn't put this shit up. Shaking my head. People are so fucking dumb. I see Africans love the beast up, and she wear a 400 million diamond that they stole from Africa right in their face. Yeah.
My own sort of personal situation. If you are a child of immigrants, you grew up in the UK, you crave that sense of belonging, and there is an understanding throughout your entire life that the monarchy is really what unites the nation.
That's really what it is. You know, if you grew up in England and you're African or African descent, you just wanted to fit in. Let's be real. You just wanted to fit in. Of course, you're around a bunch of white people. It's just the same with Black Americans. You know, Black Americans, well, I can't say the exact same. We ain't necessarily try to fit in. You know, that's why you have something called code switching, where Black people will talk in their normal vernacular when they're comfortable and they're around family and they're around people. But then, you know, you got the job interview voice with the, hey, how you doing? My name is Bam Smith. Nice to meet you. You know, when you're doing business and stuff like that, we understand the matrix and how it operates over here in this country. You know, we didn't been running up through and around this wall for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's similar. You know, so I'm not gonna go too in on Black Britons that wanted to fit in and just wanted to live and let live and kind of, you know what I mean, try to prosper over there. You know, however they got there, they feel like, you know, it's better than where they were from, because isn't it funny that those same countries that kind of destroyed and pillaged your land, you have to then go to those countries and count on them for a certain level of freedom. But if they just left your country to fuck alone, who knows? Your country might have been a superpower and you might have enjoyed being in your homeland. I think that that's another important point that a lot of people don't think about. Maybe if Britain never colonized, maybe if America never bought slaves or stole slaves from Africa and used them to create the nation's wealth, you know, what would we be without these actions, without these, you know, human atrocities? What would we be without them as a world, like, you know, as a global population? What would the world look like if America never had slavery and Britain never conquered 90% of the world? What would the world look like today? That would be a great thought experiment.
On the other hand, though, you're also aware, you're taught in school, you learn on your own a little bit more about the sort of darker history of colonialism. Yeah. The British Empire was part of the greatest colonial experiment the world has ever known. And you think about what colonialism actually involves, Jim, it is ugly business, okay? Yeah. The business of subjugating people by force is a brutal one. You know, I grew up with stories of, you know, villages in Nigeria being burned, you know, precious artifacts being looted. Obviously, a lot of people dying through that entire process. I think that when it comes to Queen Elizabeth specifically, there is an understanding and there is an awareness that she ascended to the throne in 1952. And so she was much more involved and sort of, she oversaw much more the sort of breakdown of the British Empire and not the building of it. And I think that's a really important point to sort of take into consideration. She hasn't fought change as much as she could have. So I think that if there is this sort of lingering sense of resentment by some people of color, because obviously I can't generalize with 2 million people that live in the UK, 2 million Black people that live in the UK. If there is some resentment, I think that it is towards the monarchy, not necessarily the Queen. And there is a distinction, the monarchy versus the Queen.
Important.
That is such
bullshit. I mean, without the monarchy, what is the Queen? As a regular British person, you feel me? Like at the end of the day, she took over. But I get where she coming from. Like the things that she did during her reign, she can be responsible for, but she can't be. A lot of people try to say to make that same point about slavery in America. We can't be responsible for what our ancestors did, but if you benefit from what they did, and if you have not made any efforts to try to repair or fix what they did, then that means that you can be held responsible for it. That's like, you know, my homeboy stole a car. I'm driving the car that he stole. You know, I'm benefiting from the fact that he stole this car, but at the same time, I'm not the one who stole it. What happens if the police stop me? What happens if the car owner catches me and says, hey, man, that's my car? I'm going to say, well, I didn't steal it. You know, my friend did. So it's my car. He gave it to me. Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, yeah, that's that when they come to that. I ain't even going to get into no thought experiment about that bullshit. I'm gonna go back to Twitter, get some more laughs in. Let me see. You know, aid came from Africa because they was using money DNA on Africans. What you mean money aid DNA on Africans? Oh, okay. Anyways, let me react to some of these. Explain that, Ellie. Let me post that comment back up before I pull back up my Twitter. Explain that comment. What does that mean? Yeah. Your ancestors who suffered under British rule watching you post RIP Queen Elizabeth. Princess Diana getting ready to greet Queen Elizabeth in the afterlife. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, how they treat Meghan Markle. See how they just looking at her and she had to skip over their ass? Let me pull this shit back. Like, they didn't want to shake her hand. They didn't want to say hello. They was just, yeah, look at this shit. Look at that shit. Look how they treating her. Oh, man, fuck them. R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth. They got Betty White. Did Betty White die yet? Queen Elizabeth. I just found your keys up a come, she love you. Queen Elizabeth in hell being forced to share a suite with King Von. Yeah, I saw all of that shit earlier. It was something else. Let me go to Tariq Nasheed page, man, because he was going ham about this shit, about this Queen Elizabeth shit. These people, black people, really crying over Queen Elizabeth there? Oh, hell no. Bahamas proclaimed King Charles III as new head of state. I thought they renounced the Queen as head of state. They proclaimed him as head of state? What the fuck going on? Probably for some type of some type of political gain is why they got that shit out there. Yeah. Tariq Nasheed been going in about this shit all damn weekend. So if y'all interested, go look on his page for it. And start spraying. I don't feel like doing it. Let me see what Ellie said. Hey, they show a rainbow when she did, like the castle was happy she was gone. Hell nah. Let me see that shit. Ain't that some shit? Double rainbow. Let me share that shit. Ain't that something? A rainbow after Queen Elizabeth's death in Buckingham Palace. All the British people over there with their umbrellas and shit and whatnot. There's a double rainbow in Buckingham Palace. This afternoon when the Queen passed away, she really left us. Kayla Adams. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Let us visit. That's kind of cool, though. That is kind of cool. But yeah, double rainbow. Let me see. Hold on, I'm gonna play that video that I had for y'all about the professor, so y'all can see what the hell I'm talking about.
Don't say anything bad about Queen. Fine. Ouch. It's gotten a. Let's talk about Queen Elizabeth II. First of all, was quite interesting. Prince Charles actually spoke today, and if you want to show, which is strange to me, I really don't understand this here. ABC, NBC, CBS, they all carried his first speech as king. But these are the same people who didn't carry President Biden's speech.
Okay, come on, Roland. Come on, Roland. Get to the shit I came here for. I don't care about that.
She said, I heard the chief
Here we go.
one that's gotten a lot of attention is this professor from Carnegie Mellon, Yuju Anya. And this was her initial tweet. She said, I heard the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire is finally dying. May her pain be excruciating.
God damn.
Ouch. Now, that wasn't the only tweet that she sent out, but that particular tweet, it got the attention of the richest person in the world, Jeff Bezos. This is what he tweeted. This is someone supposedly working to make the world better. I don't think so. Wow. Well, folks weren't too happy with old Jeff. They began to rip him as well. Look at these tweets that went out. Imagine how people will react when it's your turn. Jeff, your work to bust unions and force workers to pee in bottles, please shut up. I know it's not you saying something about making the world better. Those were 3 of the responses. Pretty funny coming from the guy who could end world poverty and homelessness 100 times over and simply chooses not to. It's never too late to improve the labor conditions and pay of your warehouse workers. Your workers piss in bottles en masse. Sit this one out. Ouch. Headline, billionaire opposed to paying his employees well so that he can go to space, complains about other people not making the world a better place. No surprise that the richest man in the world is upset when the people don't bend the knee to the ruling class. Breaking, man who has workers peeing in bottles and having miscarriages in warehouses to meet quotas tries to take the moral high ground. Ooh, it's insane that Jeff Bezos.
All right, yeah, we get it. They dragged him. They dragged Jeff Bezos for talking about the African researcher and what she said about the queen. She wasn't fucking with the queen. Black people should stop buying Amazon. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Okay, Ellie, I'm gonna show you something about what this same professor said. This is the same professor. You know, I wouldn't too much celebrate her and her spat with Jeff Bezos. I'm gonna kind of stay out of their shit. You know, because of what she said about Black Americans. She called them Akatas. I don't know if I alluded to that earlier, but yeah, she's a professor also. She's a researcher, African researcher and a professor. But they're trying to sign a petition to get her removed from whatever place she's teaching at or wherever she's at. University professor and researcher in applied linguistics. Okay. And all of the other courses that she's involved in. She basically used a racial slur when referring to Black people, which is called Akatas. No shade at the good sis. However, Akatas need to quit with these assumptions that their Blackness is the only one alive in America's. Mexico has a large, thriving Black population, especially in Oaxaca or Veracruz, Guillermo, or wherever, Guadalupe, or some shit like that. Basically, she was calling Black people cotton pickers in her native language. I thought this was the year of the return. Nepo couldn't bring small high school even for Akatas. Okay, so she referred to Black people as Akatas on more than one occasion. Let's see. Let's go to her. Okay. This was the tweet. She said, I do. She said, do you see Akatas as a derogatory term? I do not. Arguments are made about it being a slur specifically derived in ancestry, including enslaved, but it has not been my experience, and I certainly do not use it as such. It's a very helpful term to distinguish a very specific population, too often taken as whole. Interesting. The translation seems derogatory. I'm not sure why Black Americans wouldn't suffice if it is usually used when making divisive statements. Is not a term of endearment or respect. I was surprised to see it wanted to ask you about it before making assumptions. A read of Akata as a derogatory accepts the premise that is an insult to say someone, no. Listen, we're not going to do all of this. I don't get paid to read this shit. Let's just look at what the damn term means. Akata, Urban Dictionary, can be translated as stray cat or a cat who is strayed away from home. Oh, so it is a derogatory term, you bitch. I'm going to try and remix this shit. Akata and hate speech. 5 things to know about African Akata slur against Blacks. Oh, see? This is shit I be talking about. People use these terms and then try to backslide. Hold on. Yeah. You read amongst yourselves for a second while I pull up this other video. Fuck her. I know what she say. See, this is why you got to do a little bit more research when it comes to these motherfuckers and their stances or the approaches that they take. I'm not saying that she's wrong for the approach that she took to the Queen Elizabeth shit, but I'm saying that, her as an individual, you got to kind of like, I'm kind of one of them motherfuckers that's going to stay back and watch them both try and go at each other and see who wins. You know what I mean? I'm not going to support her because she sold out my people. But at the same time, I'm not going to down her because at the same time, she's in a battle with Jeff Bezos. And nobody really fucks with Jeff Bezos, with how he treats his workers and how he treats Black people or how he look at Black people in general. Like, he has not done anything to make the world a better place his damn self. So he should shut the fuck up when it comes to this. And somebody speaking out against it, especially if their ancestry has been affected by Queen Elizabeth in some way, in which I'm pretty sure that African lady was. But I got to seen about Akata, the term Akata.
Is that right? Funny. One time we used to look to him for our history and our culture.
You want history and culture, you read National Geographic and shit.
Tell you, man, no, we get with these motherfuckers, man, we can get out of bed with Gus and the rest of them wop guinea motherfuckers, man, like a bunch of cheap $2 hoes.
Let's motherfucking go over and take care of some business. Come on.
Hey! Untumbe!
How you? Tumbe.
I'm good. How you doing, Renato? How are you?
Very good. This,
How's it going?
Wesley
my
Snipes.
brother, Romello,
It's a pleasure. I've
Told
seen
you all
you
about him. Yeah.
I haven't seen this movie in a long fucking time. Silent Hill, or not Silent Hill, Sugar Hill.
Well, we've been thinking about this, Renato.
I remember
We just- it's one
AZ had a song called Sugar Hill too.
You know, you do your thing. We do our thing.
Wait.
Song was hard in the 90s.
He's a very, very busy man.
I understand. This is not a personal thing. It is something we cannot do it.
Hey, what's my fucking ass man wrong, man?
Calm down, man. Just calm down. I'm sorry. Look, my brother was under the impression that you were going to do some business. Maybe we can just have a seat, have a drink, maybe sit down, have a nice little diatribe, so we can work this out.
Well, don't take this personally, Romello. It won't work. You do your thing, I do my thing. You know, it won't work. We can't work with Akata.
Akata. What is this Akata shit?
Like American? Oh, shit. Cotton picker.
And that's what happens when you say the term Akata to a Black American person. So, yeah. Fuck Jeff. I would ride with her over Jeff Bezos. I don't ride with anybody that disrespect me like that. Fuck them both. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, one of them provides a service that, you know, I'm going to spend my money with in order to get cheap products whenever I can. And the other one doesn't do shit for me. So fuck them both. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Of course, I would not spend if I could get it from somewhere else for cheaper or whatever. But the way this shit work over here with capitalism in America, you're going to have to go, you know, you ain't going to make all the shit on your own. You feel me? I mean, they have a black app out there that you can shop on, but I'm pretty sure the delivery still is going to come through FedEx or UPS. And you know what I mean? They got like a little black Amazon app, and it's kind of buggy. I don't know. Hopefully they get it, you know, they get some programmers and they get to it and they make it really sustainable and really fluid and easy to use. Those are the things that make an interface work really good. I'm going to give more on that. Let me just read this comment. What the fuck Jeff even replied to that when I bet millions of his employees complaining, answering that cousin fucker. Yeah. So millions of his employees complaining, and he's online on Twitter responding to professors or researchers' gripes about the Queen of England. Billions of dollars can create all different types of jobs and sustainable living for Americans, because single-handedly in whatever state he's in, kind of wipe out poverty for a short amount of time. Like, you know, with the power that he has, he can push politics in a more honest and what's the word I'm looking for? Honest and open, or transparent. That's the word I'm looking for. In a more transparent direction where they have to list who donates money to them. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Like, you know, there's so many things that he could do. You know, he could build basketball courts in communities that don't have them. Like, you know, in my neighborhood I grew up in, we didn't have that. We would have to travel over to the other neighborhoods to go play on the basketball court. You know what I mean? That like they didn't have those type of parks in our communities. Like, you know, it's a million things that he could do with his fortune. And he could start right at his own company where he could give his workers the rights to unionize. You know what I mean? So they can get better working conditions. You feel me? But getting online, responding to professors and their gripes about the Queen of England, especially, you know, when their ancestors have been affected by the Queen of England's rule, is just not the move. It's just not the move, Jeff. But again, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of the times, the reasons why people are powerful or successful is that a lot of people, or they create a service, they create something that everybody wants to buy, or everybody wants to use, or everybody wants to be a part of. You know what I mean? They, you know, you don't make millions and billions of dollars off your company without it being somewhat useful to people, you know. So if there was, I'm pretty sure, another online store, like I said, there's an app. It's like the Black Amazon. Okay. Yeah, this is the part I wanted to tell y'all about. Myria is an Amazon killer app that supports Black-owned business. Myria. Yeah, see? Which means thoughts or ideas in the African language or African dialect. So yeah, this is supposed to be the Amazon killer, Myria. Let me share that screen for it. Yeah, so this is the website. It looks cool. Like I buy a lot of electronics. So I kind of want to see a bigger section for electronics. The website works pretty good. You know, you can support Black-owned business. They got you know, prints. Ooh, it's nice art for the culture. Okay. All right. They got calendars. Okay. Okay. And if you go into fashion, it seems like an app more so for fashion anyways, or for females, you know, where they can get like nice little clothes and shit like that. Like, look, you could tell, you know, the target audience by, you know, the most imagery. Females have the most, Black women have the most imagery on this app because, of course, they're the #1 consumers. So it's smart at the end of the day. Okay. Divinity affirmation t-shirts. Yeah. Yeah, so it's supposed to be an Amazon killer app. I just feel like it's a website, another a Black-owned website that has Black-owned businesses in it, where you can buy, you know, cool stuff. Amazon killer is a little bit of a stretch because it still doesn't have an electronics section. And electronics are the main things that you buy from Amazon. Well, main things that I buy from Amazon: electronics and little knick-knack paddywhacks. You feel me? Like, you know, toilet paper. It's like anything you get from Walmart, you can get from Amazon damn near. So they got to kind of expand their inventory. And then they also have to include an electronics section. That's what I noticed right away. Oh, like the, you know, wall decor. This stuff is kind of cool. And I would assume that a lot of this stuff is handmade. You know, by Black-owned businesses. Somebody created it and they put it on the website. It's cool. I might get some of these coasters though. If they actually have coasters. Okay, beach coasters. Oh, Dragon Ball coasters. That's cool. Flower Tough coasters. Yeah, I might order some of these coasters off here. Yeah, so y'all could see. I'm probably gonna do that on live stream in the upcoming. We're gonna probably I'm gonna create another topic where we're gonna talk about this type of stuff. But yeah, if you were ever interested, this is the app that's supposed to be the Amazon killer app, but it is just basically an alternative to get clothing and home decor and, you know, nice little cool items and stuff like that. I don't know. Amazon killer is a stretch. But yeah, that was to answer Ellie's point about, you know, not fuck Jeff Bezos, don't spend your money. Yeah, Black people should stop buying Amazon. Yeah, you should. You should. If you have another alternative, that's the thing. You know, I come at things from purely a logical standpoint. And a lot of times if you have options, that's what happens when you decentralize the market, meaning like you create other options for people to go shop or buy with. Like I'm pretty sure if they didn't have just FP&L in the state of Florida, where you can get your lights from, you can get your lights from a bunch of different other companies. It deregulates it. You know what I mean? Like, so this one company doesn't have the monopoly on every fucking thing. A lot of times, even when you deregulate, the major company or the biggest company still tries to come in and buy up all of the small companies. You feel me? That's where you get Walmart. Well, Walmart, I don't think it's buying up Kmart and shit like that. It's just kind of putting it slowly out of business, put Kmart slowly out of business. And they didn't put Publix out of business. I mean, the good quality stores, people still want quality service, so they're still going to shop at quality stores or quality places. So I think that this when you have the big company that everybody can get a lot of their stuff from for cheap, it now makes it so you have to, you know, if you want something that's better quality or something that's a better price, it kind of puts all these other companies into their own little lanes and shit like that. Like if you want it, you know, if you want better service, if you want a better return process, you go here. If you want cheaper products, because I think that you can get the same shit on eBay for probably cheaper, majority of the same shit that you get from Amazon. I remember at one point in time, eBay and Amazon were competing. You feel me? Like I remember when Amazon came out, eBay was where everybody bought their shit from online, kind of in a way, at one point in time. Now almost every major company has an online shopping, you know, e-commerce store and shit like that. You can get a lot of your stuff on Walmart and go to the store and just have them shop for you and pick it up from there. So, you know, there's a lot of different options and alternatives. Just stop shopping with one place. And, you know, I'm of the mindset that if you do not like that company, if you do not personally like the person that runs the company or how they do business, don't shop there. It's the same with a company that you work for. Even though it's a little bit more difficult to get a little bit more sticky when it comes to a company you work for. It's like if you don't want to work for a company, just don't work there. It's not as simple as that. You know, if everybody could get a better paying job, they would be gone from whatever job that they're on. It's a process behind that too. So, yeah, I just wanted to leave y'all with that. It's been an hour and 12, man. Like, damn. I just started off trying to just talk about Queen Elizabeth's, you know, funeral and the different reactions from around Twitter and social media that I've seen. And we went down a bunch of rabbit holes about Amazon and Jeff Bezos and the term Akata. You know, so that has been another episode of Bam Smith TV. And that's how we roll. You know, it's kind of reckless and uncoordinated. I might do a show called Reckless and Uncoordinated. You never know. I'll probably see y'all back here again this upcoming weekend. We'll be thinking about different topics to bring up and present. If you have any comments or concerns, that's my theme music, by the way. Comments and concerns, topics that you want to talk about, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get at me on Twitter, Twitch, all of my social media platforms will be on the screen. And that's it.